Hello guys, and welcome to the second episode of San Salvador. In this episode we're going to build a part of the harbor. We're going to build a container yard and a rail yard, like where unused trains and train cars are stored. What's always a little bit difficult is to think of good things to show in such an episode. So I always think, okay, what would be interesting for myself to see? Because large parts of skyline cities are, maybe they are just generic buildings. Like, yeah, in case of this city here, it's like this. So there are really large parts of town which are just generic blocks of houses. And it's just, I don't know if anyone's interested in seeing how this is built, but I think it's not that interesting because it's only generic blocks and it's copy paste and so on. Because when you build a large city, you kind of need to fill up the city, and since I kind of fucked up my growable buildings with my Rico settings, I really fucked up those, so I cannot get the Sevilla buildings to be growable anymore, and which is why I also have to hand place them, and hand placing buildings in a whole town is just a whole fucking lot of work. So yeah, so it's basically a lot of copy and paste work. Yeah, but I think, yeah, it's not like you would notice it, but yeah, there are just some roads which are just copied from another place. So yeah, I thought what would be interesting to show in such an episode, and I always think it's well, at least for me, it's very interesting, these industrial areas, and especially the harbor areas. So when building the harbor for San Salvador, I did the harbor layout. Initially I wanted to make a video where I was going to show you the whole process of building the harbor, where I do the basic layout, and then with the landscape editing and do the harbor and stuff. But I rewatched my game footage, and really it's not really nice to watch, because I started building the harbor, and then over the course of it I continued to change the layout, like the piers and where the boats dock and so on, and I changed the layout like 5 to 6 times, and I built a complete dock with containers and everything, and then I just scrapped it again and rebuilt it all because I didn't like it in first place, and so on. So really there isn't, it's not like I'm continually building the harbor and it grows. It's I build a part of it, then I erase it all and then build it again and so on, etc. So it's not really, it doesn't fit into one of these videos, and it's a mess. That's why I decided to not show the whole process of building the harbor. So I just skip right into it where all of the basic layout is done, because it would be it's just a pain in the ass to watch. It's a mess all over the place. So here we are. This is the first container yard. This is like the first real thing that's going to stay in the harbor. Like, I'm not going to erase it again. So this is the cargo yard, where the big container ships dock and get loaded with new containers. It directly leads to a large rail yard, like these areas with lots of rails where unused trains and train cars are stored. So they can it leads directly into the container yard. So a container comes from the ship, it gets directly moved onto a train and to leave the harbor. So it's directly connected to the train network of the city. It also has its own working train station, and yeah, that's how it works. So in this episode we're going to build most of this area, not everything, because there's a large other part of this area that's not going to fit into this episode. It's going to be on the next episode. It's, in my opinion, the more interesting part, but you'll see. So I think that's it for this episode. As always, the cinematic is at the end of the video if you want to skip my working process and just see the finished result. Guys, thank you very much for watching the previous episodes. There's going to be plenty more. I hope you also enjoy these episodes, and I'm going to do more of these. Please let me know what you think of it, and yeah, enjoy the video.